Welcome back. The Leading Edge Cricket Podcast is here. It's been a while. We do apologise. We've tried to keep things going with a few smaller little snippets of cricket information, but we just don't seem to be able to find the time at the minute. Rob, he's still playing with baby and keeping his good wife, in good order, let's say. So I'm here. I'm not on my own today, though. This is the surprise. I am here with the Google Master, Warwickshire's #1 cricket fan in the Newark area, Chris Tall. Chris, welcome to the Leading Edge Cricket Podcast.
Thank you very much, Rich. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm delighted. It's better to have someone with me rather than talking into a wall, which I do seem to do when I'm just doing the little chats on my own. So it's mega that he's here. Really appreciate that. So this is episode 38, I believe. Rob will correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure we're at episode 38 now of the Leading Edge Cricket Podcast. So what we're going to do today, we're going to get stuck in very, very shortly into the absolute drubbing of the Australians by England, the 5-0 win. Absolutely brilliant series, especially if you're an Englishman. If you're an Aussie, maybe not so much, but at least it shows you where you got to, what you've got to do in the next 12 months. We're going to get caught up as well. India, Afghanistan, the inaugural test match for the Afghanistan, the brilliant story of the Afghanis. So we're going to touch on that. And there's a bit more in the cricket world, obviously, isn't there? We've probably missed over the last few weeks. So we're going to try and get caught up. We can't get caught up completely. That would be ridiculous. But we're going to just try and touch on just a little overall picture in one or two bits, county cricket, this, that and the other. So, without further ado, I think we do need to get stuck in to England, Australia. But actually, before we do, I've got a question. When we put out the questions every week, or when Rob asks those questions that I get wrong because I don't do any searching, somebody else tends to get in touch and he gets them right. Mr. Chris Tall, I don't know how many, first off, how many times have you got the question right?
I think 5 from 5, Rich.
5 from 5?
Yeah, I am an information specialist. That was my job. So, finding information isn't difficult for me. We'll put it that way. Did I know them all? Probably not. Could I find the answers? Of course I could.
So basically what we've got there is that he's used his initiative, I think we've got to say.
Absolutely.
Initiative and cricket knowledge to find answers.
I viewed it as an open book examination.
There we go. The Google slating was not out of order. So England, Australia, Torley. 5-0. I mean, first off, just thoughts on that. 5-0 drubbing.
Absolutely magnificent, especially on the back of England's performance against Scotland in Edinburgh, where all of a sudden we're not good enough to play against someone that isn't allowed in the World Cup, who beat us, and then we take on the top dogs at home, and to be honest, I think we'd have been better off playing 5 against Scotland than 1 against Australia.
Probably more entertaining, wouldn't it? So, yeah, I mean, that Scotland game, we did cover that a little bit, me and Rob, last time we spoke, I remember now, but that was an incredible performance and just credit to Scotland. And I think what it did, it probably gave England a timely kick up the backside just to make sure that they were ready for the Australians.
Absolutely. I think that as so often happens with England, they play against a minnow side and they relax and the minnows have got nothing to lose.
Yeah, absolutely.
So fair play to them. But England were exceptional in the Australia series all the way through, breaking records left, right and centre. And when they didn't play particularly well, they still won.
Yeah, that was what was important, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was brilliant to see. I mean, we obviously, other commitments, you're not going to be able to watch every single minute of every single game, but we tried to watch as much as we can, and it's been incredible cricket. Australia, obviously, first off, before we go into it, they were allegedly weakened. Yeah. We don't want to talk about the match fixing, boys. But they were a little bit short in the bowling department. But it did give them an opportunity to try some new guys in English conditions as well. So we saw the likes of Michael Neser come in, Billy Stanlake, and 1 or 2 others. But, obviously without Hazelwood, Cummings and Stark, that's going to be a big difference. But England were missing Wokes and Stokes.
Absolutely. So just saying, it's not a full strength side. That wouldn't be England's first pick 11 going forward either.
No.
The batting was right, but the bowling, as you said, Wokes and Stokes would have been 2 of the first names on the sheet.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. So what we'll do, we're just going to run through the 5 games one by one. We won't go into too much detail, but we'll just go through quickly, pick out the most important parts of each one, and then just have a quick chat around it before we summarise. So, first game got us kicked off, day-nighter. Where was it played, Torley? In London.
Oh, I think it might have been the Oval to start with.
We can't remember. It was that long ago. Yeah. We've had too many wins since then. So anyway, England won the first game by 3 wickets, cruised to victory with 6 overs to spare. Australia batted first, 214 all out. Sign of things to come. England got stuck into them very early. The pick of the bowlers for England, really, Moeen Ali, 3 for 43 and 2 for 36 for Rashid. Again, more to come from them. Plunkett, 3 for 42 as well, and a wicket apiece for Wood and Willie. For the Australians, the Australian batting lineup, just to say, it moved around quite a bit. It wasn't really penned in, was it?
Names in a hat, I thought, Rich.
I think it might have been. It wasn't quite reversed the order, but not far off it. So this game saw Finch and Travis Head open. Obviously, Travis Head is having a bit of time in county cricket at the minute. He opened. This one didn't do so well. Finch didn't either. Nobody really did anything of note apart from Big Show Glenn Maxwell down the order. He got 62 off 73. And Ashton Agar, a developing cricketer, 40 off 62 as well. That was pretty much all we've got to write home about, apart from a few starts. Rob's call for MVP, I've got to keep reminding him of this, of the IPL, Stoinis, Marcus Mitchell Stoinis, whoever we call him. He got 22. I'm just going to put that out there. So England well on top in this game at halfway with the ball. So England, in reply, what we saw was not what was to come for England. What we did see in this one is the top three, the Roy, Bairstow, Hales trio. They didn't really fire. Roy was out second ball. Hales didn't last too much longer. Stanley and Nisa getting stuck in. Johnny Bairstow 28. So that wasn't really the most impressive start for the series for that top three, but obviously more was to come. But this game was about Root and Morgan, the two captains. 50 for Root before he was dismissed, caught behind off Stanley, and Owen Morgan 69 off 80. David Willey down the bottom of the order, 35 not out of 49 as well. A good little knock from him. With the ball for the Aussies, 2 wickets apiece for Billy Stanley, Michael Nisa, and Andrew Tye, AJ Tye, the IPL superstar. So it wasn't the most astounding of games. 214 all out plays, 218 for 7 with 6 to go. A relatively easy win for England.
Yeah, a bit of an old-fashioned game in many respects. Run rates were not phenomenal. Both teams sort of easing the way into the series, really. What was perhaps exceptional in that game was how well the two English spinners bowled. Yeah. Which was the sign of the dominance later on.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, Moeen Ali, 3 wickets. He's not had the best of times so far this season. Obviously lost his place in the test setup. So it was good for him to come in and certainly put a marker down. And obviously Adil Rashid as well, with his white ball only contract this year. Absolutely. Pretty much his first ball, wasn't it? So that was the first test then. It was nice to see Plunkett, as I always like to mention, Philadelphia Eagles fan Liam Plunkett, getting the wickets as well. So top stuff from him. So Moeen Ali, rightly man of the match. England cruised to victory. Second ODI, they moved over to Cardiff, back to Sophia Gardens. No more Swalek. England batted first, and this is where the series properly got underway, didn't it? Absolutely. England batting first, 342 for 8, a decent score. Jason Roy properly opening up, putting his foot down, 120 off 108 balls, 12 fours, 2 sixes, brilliant. Bairstow 42, Hales 26, opening partnership 63, but then it was a 100 partnership for that second wicket. Root 22, Josh Butler as well. He announced himself again, 91 off 70, not out, absolutely brilliant. And then a few people coming in, swishing and missing and getting out as we go to the end of the innings. For the Aussies, we had Jai Richardson and Kane Richardson. Richard's going to be really proud of his 2 sons there, opening the bowling. 2 for 64 for Jai and 2 for 56 for Kane. And a couple of wickets as well for AJ Tye, 2 for 81 off 9. Oh dear. There's some fodder there, isn't there? Dear. So, moving across to the second innings, the Australians made a really good go at this for a while anyway. They ended up 304 all out. England bowled them out, won by 38 runs with about 2.5 overs remaining. Again, top of the order, this messed around, didn't it? Head kept his spot, but Darcy Short jumped up the order to open while Finch went down, which was odd. Sean Marsh, 131. It was a one-man show, really, wasn't it? Ashton Agar again with a 40, 46. Tried to get the Aussies going, but they just kept losing wickets. And it was that man, Liam Plunkett, again, 4 for 53. But Adil Rashid, another 3 wickets for him, and Moeen Ali, 2 for 47 as well. Brilliant performance from England.
Absolutely, Richard. The bowlers were superb. One thing that surprised me in this knock was actually the openers. You'd expect Roy to have gone off like a tank, but they put on 63 and 40 odd were from Bairstow. Yeah. And Roy was just watching from the other end, playing himself in nicely, and then just pushed on. It was very intelligent batting from Jason Roy, and it was good to see.
Yeah, 24 balls as well for that 42 from Bairstow.
I mean, it's incredible.
If he could have kept going with that, that would have been absolute fireworks. We would have been talking a Trent Bridge score, I'm sure, wouldn't we? So,
absolutely, yeah.
So Jason Roy, not a surprised, got the man of the match. I'm sure if the Aussies had got it over the line, then Sean Marsh would have probably been in the having a good shout for that. But
absolutely,
England 2-0, moving on to Nottingham, Trent Bridge.
Oh dear, where do we start?
What a game! I'm getting a little bit giddy just thinking about this one. England. The best thing about this one for me is Australia won the toss.
Good toss to win, actually, wasn't it? Really,
And they decided to have a field, and then they watched England pile on 481 for 6 in the 50 overs. This game was sensational. Sadly, I wasn't at the game, but I was certainly watching it. Just going through that top three: Jason Roy, 82 off 61. Yep. Johnny Bairstow, 139 off 92. Alex Hales. Not impressed by Johnny Bairstow's not.
No.
He got 147 off 92. Ridiculous. And then Owen Morgan, to be honest, not to be outdone, Owen Morgan, 67 off 30 balls. Fastest ever half century by an Englishman.
Yep.
In
22 balls, wasn't it?
Ridiculous. I'm pretty sure that's right. Yeah, whatever it was to beat. Who was it previously?
Butler. Beat him by a ball.
Yeah, so I think it was 21 balls or something like that, wasn't it? Just incredible knock from everybody. I mean, the first wicket was 159 partnership between Roy and Bairstow.
It's a good job they ran him out, Rich, because they weren't going to bowl him out.
No chance. They were seeing it like beach balls. There is one weird short boundary at Trent Bridge that was kind of a difficult one to defend with one of the new stands, but Australians, it was like a touring side. 8 bowlers used. I'm surprised they didn't swap keepers' gloves with someone and let the keeper have a
Did they all move round one after it?
I think the blue bats would have been about right. It's difficult to pick a bowler here on this one, but Jai Richardson, 3 for 92 off 10. Yes, he went for 9.2, but he got 3 wickets, so we'll give him a little hat tip there. Ashton Agar, 1 for 70. With the way the game played out, that's probably not a bad spell from him. One other Centurion in this first innings as well we just need to give credit to, and that's Andrew Tye. 100 off 9, dead on. So well batted. Sorry, bold, Andrew. So really, really good stuff from England. Obviously, a mountain to climb, regardless of outfield, regardless of conditions. Yeah. And that pitch wasn't, I don't think, before we gone to Australia, that wasn't quite a 481 deck.
It wasn't a road, but then it's Trent Bridge. It was just, if you imagine, we know the capability of Roy, Bairstow and Hales. And generally, you expect one of them to fire. Yep. And that gets you your 300, 330, 340.
Yeah.
What we saw that day was different. They all did.
Yeah.
And it just shows how damaging, if you've got 3 players who are all world class at the same time going, anything can happen.
Yeah, absolute fireworks, isn't it? And it took a while for the Australians to really adapt to the circumstance and the situation. And I think the last 10 overs,
shell-shocked.
Yeah, they clawed it back a little bit, didn't they, at the end?
Yeah.
Bowling wide of the crease, wide full balls, just to try and make things difficult, especially for Hales. Anything straight, he's going to pump you, isn't he? So get it outside off stump, well outside, and it's not quite the same game for him. So the Aussies took way too long. It wasn't the pitch. I don't think we can just blame the conditions and say it was just a belter of a track.
It was just excellent power hitting.
Exactly. So in response, Australia did okay, but they were never going to get anywhere near 239 all out. England won by a ridiculous, and I'm pretty sure record-breaking 242 runs. Anyone notable, 51 for Travis Head at the top of the order. Finch weirdly stayed down in the middle order, which I still don't get.
He's good against spin, apparently, Rich.
Yeah, that's why we'll keep him there. He's pretty good against the seam as well, isn't he?
Well, he needs to get in against the seamers to clock off against the spinners, doesn't he?
Exactly. So Stoinis 44, 51 for Head. That's about it. I'm not going to go into your 20s. With the ball, 4 for 47 for Adil Rashid, pick of the bowlers, 3 for 28 for Moeen Ali, and 2 for 56 for David Willey.
Again, spinners slowing it up, getting the wickets, putting the pressure on.
Absolutely.
Superb work.
No, too right. Absolutely brilliant performance. So Alex Hales, rightly man of the match. Whenever England have got a game at Trent Bridge, just pick Alex Hales. 4th ODI. This is the clincher, isn't it? England were 3-0 up. They're cruising already. Would there be many changes? To be honest, I don't think England didn't really change too much at all, did they, in this game?
Not massively.
So Australia batted first, 310 for 8. Made a bit of a decent fist of this up in Durham. Slightly more difficult conditions, perhaps, could we say?
Generally, at Durham, you'd expect it to be,
Yeah, exactly. But Finch moved to the top of the order with Travis Head, and Finch repaid the decision. which, well, remarkable. Well done. You've worked out Finch's better opening. 100 off 106 balls before Wood trapped him in front. And at number 3, Sean Marsh got his second century of the series, 101 off 92 as well. Yep. It's great to see him make some runs. I do like Sean Marsh. He's one of them cricketers that it's took him a while to get into the Aussie setup, hasn't it?
He goes under the radar as well. Yeah. I mean, he came in and he played a fair few games. He's been in and out.
Yeah.
He's never really turned on the big scores, but he just seems to be a bit more settled in now.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's in the same class as a Mike Hussey, but Mike Hussey came into the team very, very late, didn't he?
No. And with the missing Australians as well, would he have necessarily had that opportunity?
True.
No, he wouldn't. So he'd probably be coming in and out for injuries, and he wouldn't have the opportunity to have a run through a 5 game series.
Yeah,
like he has done.
Absolutely spot on.
So. It might be good for Australia that they've lost a few because they could have found another player here.
Yeah, and that's it, isn't it? I mean, they've obviously been shuffling that top order, and it's nice to see that 1 or 2 players, or 2 or 3 by the end of the series.
They're putting their hands up and saying, me, please.
Exactly. Going to be some tough decisions. So, with the ball, for England, again, good bowling performance from Rashid, 4 for 73. It's a little bit expensive, obviously, but, run a ball or so in this day and age isn't ridiculous. Root was actually the pick of the spinners in this game. None for 44 off 10. First change bowler, obviously.
Steady.
Very steady. 2 for 49 for Mark Wood, probably one of his better performances, and 4 for 43 for David Willey.
Home wicket.
He knows where to bowl. He must have a little sat-nav instruction manual.
Yeah.
With the bat as well, Jason Roy followed up his remarkable scores in recent games. 101 off 83 balls at top of the order. Bairstow 79 off 66. And opening partnership of 174. Pretty much game over when you go out like that. Mm-hmm.
Well, again, it's the exceptional thing that Roy and Bairstow have been doing. It's now more common for them to have a 100 partnership than to not have a 100 partnership. And when you have openers that score as freely and as quickly as they do, if you don't get them early, you're in trouble.
Exactly, yeah.
So good luck to anyone else facing off against them.
Too right. Yeah, Hales, I thought, played sensibly. 34 off 45 balls, a completely different knock. One of my criticisms of Hales is sometimes
Does he adjust?
When we lose a wicket, he often gets himself out quite quickly after that. So I was really pleased to see that he backed up his big score at Trent Bridge with a nice little not out.
Yep.
He knows that his place is the one that's under pressure. For when Ben Stokes is available again. So that was important. Root 27 off 35, Morgan 15 off 11, and then Josh Butler 54 not out of 29, made it look easy. As he does. Wickets for Billy Stanley, Nathan Lyon, and 2 for Agar. Nothing particular to write home for the Aussies. 1 for 38 off 7 for Lyon. Nice, 5.5 and over there. So decent. And Agar, again, the spinners in this series, playing well. Yeah, done okay. So that was 4-0. Going into the last test, can it be a whitewash? I saw something on Twitter which made me chuckle. I think Test Match Special tweeted out saying this: can England make the first ever whitewash of ODI cricket against Australia? Yes. And a certain Adam Hollyoak popped up and said, does the 3-0 in the Texaco Trophy in 1997 not count? So, loved the Hollyoaks. So, and not the TV programme, that's a pile of crap. But Adam and Ben, they were legends to me. So, going into the 5th and final test at Old Trafford just a couple of days ago, can England make it 5-0?
Well, I'll tell you what, yeah.
I reckon they can.
Yeah.
And they did. It was absolutely brilliant. This was an unbelievable game. This is the game that's going to pay dividends when we get closer to the World Cup. This was a one-off. This was a situation where England could quite easily have lost this and allowed Australia to get that, get that 1 in the 4-1. But England, this is a different side. So Australia, they elected to have a bat first, probably a sensible decision, and they went off really well. Finch and Head at the top of the order. There's something there. That looks a good partnership. I was really impressed by Travis Head.
He's been steady, hasn't he?
Yeah, it was a really good knock. 56 of 42. England did make some changes. It was Jake Ball and Sam Curran. Sam Curran on debut, should we say, with the new ball as well. So a little bit tricky. Joe Root retained his spot as the first choice change bowler as well.
Well, they've been using him a lot in the power plays, which I'm not quite sure why, but it seems to work. It seems to work occasionally. I think what they're trying to do is steal a couple of overs.
Yeah, no, you're probably right before you realise.
If you only got the five or so bowlers, you can quite easily manage to rotate bowlers around a bit easier. if and when you need to, rather than I'm stuck, I've got to bowl him now.
Yeah, exactly. If you've just got your
You've
5
burgled
bowlers,
a couple already, so that might be a captaincy thing.
Yeah, that's true, actually. That's a good point. 5 overs doing 50, you're kind of stuck to where they need to bowl, or it
you've
gets
got
a
to
little
bowl
bit
in your
complicated.
patterns and
Takes the pressure off the captain
absolutely.
a little bit. Yeah. So Finch and Head, they started off well, as we said. They were 60 partnership inside 6 overs, 6.5 overs it was before the first wicket went. So it was really, going off at 10 and over, before Head went. So Head and Finch there, 44 for Carey. Not as a wicket keeper, but he was batting at 5, so obviously that's going to be something we'll talk about in a moment. Darcy Short, right down the order. He got 47 not out off 52. He's a little bit of a strange white ball player. During the IPL, he's not got the best strike rate. So they're obviously trying to find where he fits best in this lineup, and I'm not quite sure where it is myself at the moment. With the ball, Sam Curran got some stick early, which obviously going at 10 and over, you're going to have got some stick. But he came back on and nicked a couple of wickets in and over and finished 2 for 44 off 6, a respectable debut for him. But Moeen Ali, pick of the bowler, 4 for 46 off 8.4, absolutely brilliant from him. Plunkett 1 for 19 off 4, steady as you go under 5s, and Rashid 1 for 32 off 8 at 4 and over, absolutely brilliant. 30 dot balls for Adil Rashid, that's pressure. In response for England, this was a crazy game.
Well,
wasn't it?
I'll be honest, Rich. I saw the score at half time, and I thought, brilliant. England had rolled them.
Yeah.
Won't be long. Next thing I know, England. Oh dear.
Exactly. This was being played on Sunday, wasn't it? And I'm sure you were out and about. I was out and about on Sunday as well. And as the scores, you kept seeing the updates come through.
It was terrifying.
Yeah, and then seeing the highlights later. Oh my word! So Jason Roy, obviously shock horror. He was gone in the first over. 2 on the board. He went for 1. Bowled Ashton Agar. A brave move from Tim Payne to give him the first over. Johnny Bairstow did not last much longer. 19 for 2, 5 overs. What's going on, England? Then Root went very, very quickly afterwards. Yeah. Same over. 23 on the board for 3 down. It wasn't much longer after that. 27 for 4. Morgan went 7.4 overs. A partnership, a recovery.
Yep. Massive.
It was 6 overs later, give or take, that Hales went with 50 on the board. He got 20. That's not a pretty top order. 1, 12, 21 and none. Enter Jos Buttler. This was the knock for him. This is where he's really announced himself again. The headlines have been taken by Roy, Bairstow, Hales, Morgan to an extent, but Jos Buttler, an absolutely, truly incredible knock. It wasn't all plain sailing though. He came in 36 runs later at 86 for 6. Moeen Ali had gone. Not long after Sam Curran, they put on, what did they put on there? About 40, give or take. Yeah. He went as well. Curran, a gutsy little 15 on debut as well. 1-6 included. We've got to make a mention of that. Plunkett went very quickly after 114 for 8. Bear in mind, chasing 206. Is it 206, 205? 206 to win.
Yeah.
So it was all about what can Adil Rashid. He's not a number 10. Rashid used to bat 6 or 7, didn't he? Once upon a time.
I remember him in his debut season getting 100 against Warwickshire and thinking, my God, this lad's going to be good.
Yeah, exactly. So not a bad number 10. And he hung around 20 off 47 balls while Buttler was doing what he needed to do. And then just right near the end, Jake Ball came in.
Nervous.
With plenty of overs to spare, really.
Nervous.
But England ended up getting the win with just the 9 balls remaining. But it was never really the time, was it? It was more whether or not Australia could get those last 2 wickets. Ball even batted out and over, which was brilliant from him.
What struck me was, that Buttler, you'd think, you see Buttler 110, you think, 40, 50, 60 balls.
Yeah.
No. He was going at less than a run a ball.
Yeah.
He batted very sensibly, very circumspect, and he respected the batsman coming in after him.
Exactly.
With 4 or 5 to win, first ball of the over, not many players would take a single and let Jake Ball face up the others, but he did.
Yeah.
He did.
You've got to give that responsibility to the tail, haven't you?
Yeah, and it seemed like he'd got a plan, he was going to trust in the other batsman, and that's how he was going to do it. And it paid off. Yeah, absolutely. It was quite funny. I mean, obviously we just made Jos Buttler 110 not out, 122, absolutely brilliant. But it was nice listening to him afterwards, just talking just to say, he was trying to
kind of calm Jake Ball down, that, save him running down the track to try and smack the winning runs.
Yeah.
He must have creamed about 3 drives into the fielders in that over he batted out. So
extra covers hands were ringing.
He can play. So an unbelievable effort from Australia and a brilliant win for England to clinch the 5-0. Just to mop up with the ball, Ashton Agar, 1 for 34 off 10. Brilliant stuff from him. A real strong finish to the series. A 3 for 51 off 9 for Kane Richardson. 2 for 37 off 8.3 for Marcus Stoinis. Really good bowling all round, but I'm just saving till the last. Billy Stanley. We might have had the game that's announced Billy Stanley.
Well, we had our doubts, but he's proven something in that.
3 for 35 off 10. It really has come to grips with the conditions and really bowled well. He was 3 for 18 off 5 overs, wasn't it? So he really put the cat amongst pigeons for England and made this a nervous last game. So 5-0 to England. Brilliant performance. On the back of 4-1 in Australia. Let's not remember that. Let's not forget that.
Absolutely.
So that's 9-1 to England if we want to be...
I think it's the first time in 30 years we won 2 back-to-back ODI series against them.
That's not bad. We'll take that, won't we? So brilliant series, great cricket. Let's just have a little look kind of around it. I mean, the big thing for the series as well was about the Aussies. They'd obviously had the fallout in South Africa about the whole nonsense. We're not going to go into that, the old sandpaper malarkey. Tim Payne's come over here. He's obviously suited more to captain the Test side. He's got the gig as the ODI captain. He's done his job. He's done a nice PR exercise. There's not been any incidents, not been any issues.
No.
Where do the Aussies go from here?
Who knows? I mean,
after a 2020 flight back to Australia,
you'd say they were missing 5 players probably. And the one thing that it showed to me was England were missing 2, and then the last game probably switched out 3, so missing 5 players as well. The depth that England seem to have in this ODI team seems bigger than Australia's. That to me is a concern for Australia moving forwards. The other thing that I'm being very impressed with England is even when they didn't play well, they won.
Yeah.
We sit here and we go, our top 3 batsmen are great, but they failed in 2 games, and we still got over the line.
Yeah.
The spinners have been exceptional throughout, and the backup seamers are good, and we're waiting to get our better ones back in Stokes and Wokes, and we'll be more competitive. I'm very impressed, especially with the World Cup coming along, back on English conditions and all the rest of it, that we might actually have a good showing this time, Rich.
I think so. I think England have got to be one of the favourites. Obviously, home conditions are going to count, aren't they? No matter where you are in the world, we've spoken about quite a lot about how difficult it is to win overseas.
Oh, impossible.
So it has to go in our favour a little bit. Obviously, the team that are about to kick off their tour over here very shortly, the Indians, they are going to be having a question about it, obviously.
Oh,
but
definitely.
We'll talk about that in a little while. But yeah, I mean, for me, Australia, obviously they've got Smith and Warner to come back. I think it was Mel Farrell, depending on who's winning, Australian English passport holder, pundit. Really love her work, but that was quite funny. But she was saying the other day, or on the summary for the Test Match Special, that I think 30%, at least, I think it's of the runs, ODI runs are scored by Warner and
it's
Smith,
a large
like
amount.
It's a big proportion of runs, basically. It might be more than that, I can't quite remember. But anyway, they rely heavily on Smith and Warner.
Yeah.
I like the fact that the Aussies are starting to get a bit of a settled top. Head, I thought, played pretty well. Finch, they both finished 194 runs at an average of 38.8 for Head and 32 average of 161 runs for Finch. I like that as a top 2. Sean Marsh, 288 runs in his 5 games, 2 centuries, strike rate of give or take run a ball, 57.6 average.
Yeah.
It's not a bad top 3. Glenn Maxwell in the middle order. It's not a bad lineup. Then if you can fit Smith back in there, Warner, does he come back? Does he not? That's a big question. He's the one that's kind of took the rap for a lot of the nonsense, isn't it? And then with the ball, you've obviously Mitchell Stark's got to come back into that lineup. Billy Stanlake, if he can play, he's there or thereabouts. And then you've got Hazelwood. Yeah. Does Cummings come back in? For me, Cummings is the favourite of the Aussie bowlers for me. But there's something there. I mean, Carey, does he come in as keeper? Is it time for Payne to step aside? Potentially.
I think that's more a political decision than anything. Potentially,
you're probably right.
Yeah, feel good thing for the Australians. Bless them.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to, allow Australian cricket to go on too long, winning almost English way. Losing, but winning. off the field.
Acceptably.
It's not going to go down for long, is it?
They'll want to be winners. They'll want to be winners.
No. So what about England then? Let's have a little look at England. Obviously, that top three has been sensational. Roy, Bairstow, Hales. Pick two out of a hat. Away you go. Bairstow, for me, is just ridiculous.
He's dependable.
Yeah. And looking at what he did against Scotland as well, he's just a sensational player at the moment, isn't it? Butler. Where do you put Butler? What a great problem to have. Do you bat him at 4? Do you bat him at 6?
Well, you bat Root at 7 sometimes, don't you? I mean, how many teams have that luxury of one of the best batsmen in the world? I'm sorry, mate. You keep your pads on. Keep your pads on.
Exactly.
These lads can hit it faster and further than you. Keep going.
Exactly.
Specialist number 7, John.
Yeah. And it's quite funny, really, seeing some pundits kind of talk about potentially Root not playing. It's like, give me a break. He's averaging over 50 in one-day cricket. And there is going to be a day when we lose 2 or 3 very quick wickets, and you're going to realise why Joe Root's in that team. Yeah,
I mean, he's not 170 strike rate, man.
No.
But he still scores at a fair lick, good rotational player, which is very useful.
Yeah.
I
mean, he will be a bit disappointing. I mean, 104 runs in this series at an average of 26, a strike rate of 75, give or take. So, not the best series for him. But when you've got Roy scoring 304 runs at an average of 60, Bairstow 300 at 60, Hales 232 at 58, Morgan 151 at 38, you don't need Root to have a big series, do you?
No. And in a couple of those games, he's either gone in when he's been doing a bit and the top order have got blown out and he has too, or he's coming in with not much time left and he's perhaps having to play a little bit outside of his comfort area. In that it's quick runs, Joe, off you go. No time to settle down. So it's difficult to knock him on that. Plus, standout spinner, Rich. He's playing as an all-rounder.
So you're right. That's it. Moeen's going to have to go. Or is he?
No.
So with the ball as well in this series, it was the most wickets ever by an English spinner, wasn't it? In a series, 12 apiece from Moeen Ali and Adil Rashid. And I believe Adil Rashid is now the leading spinner, wicket-taking spinner in English one-day cricket as well.
That's correct, yeah.
So that's brilliant for him. And he's, obviously the way he's played. And to be fair to Hales to a point as well, they're both kind of justifying, I suppose, or they could argue they're justifying that their decisions to only focus on white ball cricket this year.
Yeah, I think they put themselves under pressure unnecessarily. I don't think they realised that the old school brigade that go and watch first class cricket with their dog would be quite so upset about, what do you mean you don't want to play proper cricket? That's disgusting. I don't pay my membership for this rabble. So knowing that, they were probably under more pressure than other people to perform.
Yeah.
And fair play to Rashid, fair play to Hales. Yeah, it looks like a good decision.
Absolutely, yeah. So 12 wickets apiece for those two, at an average of 17 and a bit and 21 a bit, respectively, for Ali and Rashid. Plunkett, he was the third leading wicket taker with 8 wickets from the 4 games he played in. It's got to be noted 4. The spinners have both played all games. Just under 20. And David Willey, 7 wickets at 25. So, I think Willey and Plunkett played pretty well. For me, I enjoyed Plunkett's performances the most, not just because he's a Philadelphia Eagles fan, second mention, but I do like Plunkett as a cricketer.
I rate Plunkett big matches.
Yes, absolutely.
Big matches, just coming out with a bat, you just feel he's the man that can turn things on.
Exactly, yeah. I really like Plunkett in that 11. I like to see him in there. Mark Wood, the other English bowler, we've spoken about him at length. 4 wickets in 4 games at an average of 44, 2 for 49 at best of. My argument with Wood is not that he's not a good fella, he's not a good teammate, it's not that he's not a good bowler. He has got a little bit of gas, he's got some wheels, but he doesn't take wickets.
No.
And that's what I always come back to.
No.
Eventually, after an extended period of time when you're only taking 1 for, 2 for, none for, when's he going to win a game of cricket for us with the ball? I haven't seen him do that.
You're leaving it for someone else.
Yeah, tell me if I'm wrong, people. If I've got Mark Wood completely wrong, tell me. I like him as a cricketer, but he's just not for me an England bowler. He's the man that would miss out first for me when Woakes.
Well, I think he'll be a replacement for Woakes, and then do you drop a bat or do you drop a bowler for Stokes?
Yeah, the big question isn't it? Hales is the one that's certainly feeling it, but with the way he's playing,
I don't think you can drop him. I really don't think you can drop him. I think maybe it might be Willey that goes. At the end of the day, both Stokes and Woakes are often used as death bowlers for England. Yeah. That's something that hasn't been shown out here. Is that our best death bowlers, the ones you want in the ODI to give you that control at the end, weren't playing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose as well, giving Root more responsibility. He bowled 22 overs in this series. Now, compare that to Ali and Rashid. They bowled 14-46. So
he's doing half a job, isn't he?
He's not.
He's half a spinner.
Yeah. So what you're doing with that, you're giving yourself a six bowler, aren't you? It's almost like we always this podcast we like to talk about knots, but there's a good comparison is Samit Patel. He bowls a lot of overs as a batsman, and it allows you to play an extra batsman or an extra bowler, however you want to do it, doesn't it? It gives you options to have that player.
It's a nice headache to have.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. So just a brilliant series. It was great to have an Australia team come over here for it's not a full Ashes summer. India is the big ticket in town this year.
Sure is.
But it was great to have the Australians over. We've got a 2020 game coming up very, very soon. And then we look forward to the Indians. So that's Australia, that's England. Australia go home. They don't have much cricket for a while. I think they've got a bit of time in Zimbabwe. Big questions for Australia. They're digging themselves out of a hole. I think they're hoping that as time passes, less people will worry about your Warners and Smiths. And they'll be able to just carry on as normal.
They'll come back strong. They'll be strong in a year or two's time again.
Exactly. So we see where we go with that. But that's that mopped up. Anything else to add on that one?
Not a great deal, but well done, England.
So linking away from England, Australia, we mentioned that India are coming over to these shores very soon. They're actually here already. Well, close anyway. They're over in Ireland, aren't they? Getting ready for a couple of T20s. So, but what we did miss whilst we've been away is India playing or hosting Afghanistan in Afghanistan's first ever Test match. After Ireland played Pakistan, Afghanistan playing India. It's just brilliant. Brilliant for cricket to open up more nations into Test cricket, isn't it?
I think it's the way it's got to be. Cricket's a fantastic game. It's played all over the world, and it should be foremost in the administrators' mind to grow this game, so that it's not just the big three countries running it. It's everybody's got a stake in this. And it's fantastic to see countries such as Afghanistan who have really pushed on from absolute grassroots all the way through now to get that Test recognition and to be moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, any nation that gets up to this level, I mean, even some of the other associate members that have been getting higher up in the ODI or the T20s, it's brilliant to see it. Great stories all round. I mean, we were chatting with Iceland cricket. Obviously, they're way off, but great Twitter game, by the way, Iceland cricket. We love that. But it's amazing to see all these stories, no matter who they are, Scotland, Ireland, but Afghanistan, there cannot be a better story. I mean, this has got to be a film at some point, surely.
Oh, massive.
It's incredible. I mean, so let's get into it. We want to just get a bit of coverage on this. It was a one and only Test match. Afghanistan travelled over to India. They played in Bengaluru, June 14th. It didn't last long, sadly. Not quite what Afghanistan wanted.
Not the dream start for Afghan.
I think as well, after Ireland did so well against Pakistan, that we were actually dreaming and daring to believe that Ireland even could potentially pull off a very, very unlikely first debut Test match win.
Absolutely.
We were kind of hoping for a little bit more, but you couldn't have asked for a tougher game for the Afghanis to play than a one-off test in India against certain players that wanted it, were trying to give themselves a damn good shot of getting in that first 11 or in the squad for the tour in English, or the England tour, should I say. So let's have a look at it then. So India batted first. About to say battered Afghanistan then, but that's probably a bit harsh. So India elected to bat. They had a bat, and they got 474 before being dismissed inside 105 overs. So I'd say that's a pretty good effort from Afghanistan. With the bat though, Murali Vijay opened the batting with Shikhar Dhawan, and they both registered centuries, 105 for Vijay and 107 for Dhawan. 168 opening partnership before Dhawan was dismissed in the 28th over. That's not a bad scoring rate.
No, it's not.
In Test cricket. So obviously those guys were dipping the bread, weren't they? KL Rahul, fresh off his brilliant IPL, he batted at number 3 and got himself 54 off 68, a steady note there. Chicheshwar Pujara, obviously been playing for Yorkshire in county cricket. Steve, correct. The best pronunciation we've like. He got himself 35. Rahane, the captain for this Test, he got 10. Nice to see Dinesh Karthik in the side. Obviously, MS Dhoni is just the man that's just his shadow, a cloud over him all the time, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Playing in his shadow.
It's impossible to fill, isn't it?
Exactly,
it's like the next both of them.
Yeah, it's difficult. So he didn't really get much chance to have a score there. But Hardik Pandya, it was nice to see him get a game as well. 71 of 94, really good knock for him, the all-rounder. And Ashwin 18. Ravi Jadeja batting at number 9.
Good number 9.
Not a bad number 9.
Good number 9.
20. Ishant Sharma and Umesh Yadav filled it out. 26 not out for number 11. Yadav, well battered. With the ball, Afghanis, a plucky effort, I think it's best to say without sounding patronising. Yamin Ahmadzai opened the batting. He got 3 for 51 off 19. Well bowled for him. Wafadar Mamand, 2 for 100. Off 21, so at least they've both got averages. And 1 for 65 off 13 for Mohammed Nabi, the all-rounder, who's going to be over in England soon, playing a bit of 2020 for Leicestershire, I believe. Correct. I may have that wrong, but yeah. Rashid Khan, their absolute superstar, he bowled the most overs, 34.5 overs, 2 maidens, 2 for 154. A tough, long spell for him, but he's a sensational talent. And young spinner as well, Mujibur Rahman as well, 1 for 75 off 15. Askar I always struggle with this one, Stanikzai. I'm sure everyone knows who I'm talking about.
Yep.
He also got himself a couple of overs as well. So 474 all out. Obviously a massive task for the Afghanis. It didn't quite go according to plan, did it? 109 all out in the first innings. Mohammad Shahzad, 14 off 18, 14 for Ramat Shah, 24 for Mohammed Nabi. The captain, Stan Kazai, 11 off 14. Nobody really got going.
No.
Difficult game. With the ball, Ravi Ashwin, 4 for 27, 2 for 18 for Jadeja, 2 for 28 for Ishant Sharma, and Umesh Yadav, 1 for 18. Good effort from everybody, really. Not much
solid performance.
Exactly, yeah. India obviously decided that they were going to let Afghanistan follow on, and it was the right decision. 103 all out. So, what was it? A 262 run win for the Indians. Second innings, top score, Mohammed Nabi 24, and then a few teens and a few single figures. So a difficult one as well. With the ball again, Ravi Ashwin, 4 for 27 on top of his, have I just read the same one? Yes, I have. 4 for 27 was obviously his first inning. So looking at the correct scorecard, 4 for 17 off 9 for Jadeja. It was his game in the second innings. Ashwin got 1 for 32, 3 for 26 for Yadav, and 2 for 17 for Sharma. So an absolute hammering, basically.
Bit one-sided.
Shikhar Dhawan picked up man of the match for his 107 off 96 balls. Great entertainment, including 3 sixes. Tough one for Afghanistan, but this is what it should be like for teams playing their first game of Test cricket.
Well, you find the longer the format, the harder it is for these emerging teams to come through. Ireland had perhaps a bit more of a luxury in that a lot of their guys are regular county 4-day players. Yep. They're used to playing long, drawn-out, hard-fought competitions.
Yep.
I don't know what the first-class setup's like in Afghanistan, but I'm predicting it's perhaps a bit fluid.
Exactly, yeah.
And so it's going to be harder for them. They're always going to be more competitive in the T20s and the ODIs.
Yep.
Much like when Sri Lanka and Zimbabwe started, they were pretty much whipping boys early doors. You've got to start somewhere, and it's great to see them starting. And they've got a lot of talent, predominantly in the younger bowling department. I think it's going to serve them well for years to come.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, just, the good questions were asked. Obviously, big things were expected of the likes of Rashid Khan and Rahman, etc. And, there's the potential argument that there's maybe trying too many variations after all the white ball cricket rather than just settling in on line and length and trying to create pressure. Captaincy, obviously, it's a learning experience for him as well. Poor field placements perhaps didn't help while India were batting, and obviously just a lack of first-class bowling. It's one thing bowling 4 overs in a T20 in those amazing pressure atmospheres, but it's another thing bowling 20 overs in a day, toiling, in the heat in 4-day, 5-day cricket, isn't it, with a red ball. So obviously a lot for Afghanistan to overcome. The sooner we can get Afghanistan doing the rounds and coming over and playing...
Sooner the better.
Yeah, playing a test
sooner
match.
The better.
And, I don't know when it's scheduled, but surely there must be one scheduled soon for a couple of test series between Ireland and Afghanistan.
I would think
That's
so.
what I'd want. Get Ireland across to the Middle East. I'm sure Afghanistan playing in UAE, etc. And likewise get Afghanistan over to Ireland.
Absolutely. it's going to be very interesting to see how, I think it's 2020 it starts, the Test Championship develops. Yeah. Obviously, I don't think Ireland and Afghanistan are actually scheduled to be part of that. But the fixtures have come out and it looks very, very, very exciting. Obviously, they're going to start slotting into that soon. So that'll be another way to be looking at how they actually emerge and develop as sides.
Exactly. And it's really important as well for cricket and for the development of other test playing nations, and obviously for Ireland and Afghanistan, is to get them playing in as many different conditions as possible, getting them to play against as many good players as possible, even potentially playing against A sides, in time, especially if they're going for a tour of Australia, for example. Have a few games, a few test match condition games against an Australia A or whatever, and then play a one-off test or a couple of test matches, whatever it might be. But as we've seen with Bangladesh, with Sri Lanka, with other nations, it takes a while for teams to really become competitive. But we're not going to discount Afghanistan. They are going to be a decent side going forward. Obviously, we're not quite ready for a Barmy Army tour of Afghanistan.
Not yet, Rich.
But, we'll see how we go. We'll see how we go. So, India, let's stick with India. They're the focal point. They are the big ticket. They are the big guns coming to England. We can't wait for the Indians to really touch down and kind of get playing the cricket in England. So, they start tomorrow.
Good timing, Rich.
Not
good timing.
Bad. It's a good job we got on here, isn't it? Because you wouldn't have known this otherwise, would you? I'm talking about you guys, not Chris. Chris knows everything.
I've got Google.
so they're playing the first of two 2020s in Dublin against Ireland, starting tomorrow, and then one on the 29th. So that's going to be their warm up, and then they move across to England. We've got a 3 T20s. We start in Old Trafford on the 3rd of July. Follow up a few days later at Cardiff, and then we finish off in Bristol. So it's a T20 spectacular.
It's a fest.
Start to the summer for the Indians and the English cricketing public.
It's got the 2005 Ashes written all over it, Rich.
Okay.
Start off with the T20, a couple of ODIs, rough you up a little bit, and then we'll go into the test matches.
I like it. I want to see sweatbands. Lots of headbands and sweatbands. India then pick up the ODI cricket, and it's a 3 ODI series playing at Trent Bridge. London, I'm guessing that's going to be the Oval, and then going across to Headingley. So plenty of white ball cricket. That takes us up to the 17th of July, and then India will start focusing on the red ball. And then it's 5 test matches. We start off at Edgbaston on the 1st of August.
Fantastic. Exactly. What a venue to start at.
Exactly. Following it up, I believe at Lords for the second test, August the 9th. Then across to Trent Bridge, August 18th. Then down to Ageas, for Hampshire, August the 30th. And then we go into September. God, we've just hit the peak summer. We're having a heat wave in England. Don't laugh at us, but it's about 27 degrees. And
it's 30 yesterday.
Woo! We got a factor 50 on. We're okay. But we're talking already. September the 7th will be the 5th and final test. That'll be the end of the summer.
It'll probably be a 4-jumper day, I would think.
Exactly. So that's what we've got in store for the Indians. So let's have a little look at who they're bringing across. 2020, Virat Kohli, obviously, he's going to be captain it. Just going alphabetical here. Yuzvendra Chahal, MS Dhoni, the godlike wicketkeeper batsman, Siddharth Kaul, Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, Hardik Pandya, Suresh Raina, Washington Sundar, one of our favourites, JJ Bumrah, Shikhar Dhawan. Just love saying Dhawan. Shikhar Dhawan. It sounds like a song.
It just runs off the tongue.
Yeah, Dinesh Karthik, Kuldeep Yadav, Manish Pandey, Lokesh Rahul, Rohit Sharma, and Umesh Yadav. That's a tough looking side.
Useful.
Fresh, obviously IPL. They've all got their eyes in for 2020. England, we haven't quite started the Vitality T20 blast yet.
The blast's coming. And something to look forward to. We're not 100% ready for T20, so we'll have to wait and see. But you just know the Indians are going to be very well drilled. They've got specialists throughout. They know what they're doing.
Exactly.
I think the England batsmen are going to be useful, but I just think the Indian bowling will edge us in the T20.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, JJ Bumrah.
Bumrah is just legendary.
He's a hell of a player. I mean, you've got the Bhuvaneshwar Kumar just holding it nice and steady. Yeah. Hardik Pandya was an absolute superstar in this IPL, but JJ Bumrah was probably one of the pick of the seam bowlers for me.
Yeah.
ODI squad is very similar, if not identical. I'm just looking. Shreyas Iyer is in the team as well, so that's one that has missed out on the T20, but he is in the ODI team. And who else have we got? Ryuda, he had to withdraw. Sadly, he missed out, but it's pretty much the same side. So I mean, from that, I mean, is there anyone else you're kind of excited or looking forward to seeing how they perform in English conditions?
Well, all the Indian batsmen. I love watching Indian batsmen in English conditions.
That's because fighting talk.
Well, it's, it's a bit like some of the Australians. Cricket's one of those games. It's very condition dependent. Yeah. And it's about finding a way to score runs and win the games. And India, no doubt, have got some exceptional batting. And if the overreds are here, it's going to be a lot of questions that are going to be asked of them. So it'll be interesting to see. Virat Kohli, though, for the money, well, when he's one of those you'd pay to go and watch.
He's just a stud, isn't he? I mean,
you'd just pay to go and watch.
He's at the peak of his game, peak of his powers, in the prime of his career at 29. Yeah. He's box office, so we can't wait to see him over here. It was a big shame from one perspective that he couldn't get across here to play for Surrey. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the other perspective is I'm very, very pleased.
Is that as a Notts perspective?
No, that's just more as a kind of an English cricket fan perspective. Right. It's more we don't want Virat Kohli getting used to the facilities and the conditions.
Yes, indeed.
But obviously, it would have been great to see him play a few games of cricket over here. So.
Well, you want to see the best players. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the test squad, we don't quite know. We'll look into that in more detail as we get through the T20 and the white ball cricket.
We'll wait for it to develop.
Exactly, yeah. So it will be, obviously, the last test squad, there was some rested players. So it'll be interesting to see where they go and who they pick. But yeah, the ODI stuff, the T20 stuff, we can't wait for that. That's going to be great. I'm hoping to have one of my cricketing teammates. He's a little bit reluctant at the minute, but I'm going to bully him.
I'll twist his arm.
Yeah, when I'm walking around the boundary on Saturday, I'm going to hopefully grab one of my colleagues, Bimal, who's from India originally, but he lives and plays cricket over here now. So we're going to try and grab him for a local Indian perspective, see what he's got to say. But I'm really looking forward to it. Bumrah I've already spoke about. The batsman like Dhawan, brilliant. MS Dhoni, this probably could be the last chance we get to see Dhoni, apart from maybe...
Points to prove for him.
Yeah, if he's playing in the one day, the World Cup next year, maybe we'll get to see a bit more of him, but otherwise... or is he actually? Yeah, he is in both squads, isn't he? So I'm looking forward to seeing him. Pandya as well. Rayner didn't have the best IPL, but he still had a pretty good time of it. Sharma as well. It's just, they're stocked 1 to 11. We know that.
Names all the way down.
Exactly. And I hope Washington Sundar gets an opportunity as well. I'm a big fan of him. I know Rob is as well. He's just got an awesome name. I think that helps.
And he's young.
Yeah, exactly. Only 18. We talk about these Afghani spinners, but Sundar's there. He's in that same conversation, isn't he? So we can't wait for the Indians to get here. It'll be interesting to see how Ireland cope against them as well in a couple of T20s. Great experience for those guys as well.
Absolutely. The one thing you can guarantee is Ireland will go hard at them.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that gets us up to date with that. Roll on that. The main part of the summer, we've had the starter out of the way, the Aussie. We've had a little nibble at them. Didn't really fill us. They didn't really bring anything too good. So we're really looking forward to see what the Indians can bring. And I'm sure, though I don't need to ask for people to start giving us their predictions. I know we've got some very, very passionate Indian cricket fans out there. So let us know how you think this is going to go. But just don't get too cocky, gentlemen.
No, we're the form horses.
Yeah, ladies and gents out there, India are a good side. We know that. They're one of the best sides in all three formats. Stocked 1 to 11, 1 to 15, 1 to 22 probably. But this is England, our conditions. Let's have a look. Right, moving away from full international honours, and we move to the A sides, or the Lions as England like to call it. There's currently a tri-series going on in England. India A, West Indies A and England Lions. Good opportunity for some, on the kind of cusp of full selection players to really start staking claim. So, we'll have a little look at that. There's 3 games completed. There's actually an India A against England Lions in progress today. So we'll touch on that and then we'll just explain what's to come as well so you're all aware. First game was played a few days back in Derby between India A and England Lions. India A 2-3-2 all out. And then England 2-3-6 for 3, won at a canter with about 8 overs to spare, should I say. A strong looking India A side as well. So some exciting talent here in the country at the moment. PP Shaw opening the batting with Agarwal, Shrubman Gill as Suresh Iyer captaining, Rishabh Pant. Really, really good players. Krunal Pandya, Deepak Chahar, Shiv Thakur. talent all over. But anyway, back to the game. Top score, Rishabh Pant, 64 off 55 deliveries, and 42 for Shiras SS Iyer. I'm never sure how to pronounce his surname, so apologies if I've murdered it. And he got 42. So a decent knock, but not enough, 232. Wickets for Tom Helm, the big Middlesex seamer, 3 for 33, 1 for 35 for Reece Topley. White ball only due to his body being held together by sticking tape.
Plasters.
Yeah. And 1 for 47 for Chris Jordan, who just is becoming a bit of a frustrating character. He's just never quite...
He's not filled his potential,
has he? There's a lot of that still as well, isn't there? But he's probably just getting on... Not an old fella at all, but he's just starting to run out of time with some of these young players catching him up. Liam Dawson, 4 for 30 and 1 for 31 for Liam Livingston. So England Lions captained by not Steve Mullaney. It's nice to see him get a call up after he did so well with the North East South. And England Lions in response, so they, Sonkola Cadmore, 7 off 15, the now Yorkshire opener, but it was Nick Gubbins, one of our shouts for a potential England call-up in some of the most formats.
Your shouts, Rich.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a noisy one of him. 128 off 132 deliveries, fantastic knock. Sam Hain from Warwickshire.
One of my shouts.
Absolutely, yeah, the Warwickshire Aussie. English Aussie.
Born in Hong Kong, Rich.
There are no words. 54 of 68. Liam Livingston, 27 off 24. A bit of a forgotten man, Liam Livingston. And Ben Stokes got him over the line with the ball. 2 for 34 Thakur and 1 for 40 for Patel. So a decent performance, decent win for England. But India, that side's obviously going to be tough. And the game today is actually England A against India A. England Lions against India A. And India A are doing pretty well. 284 for 4. With a couple of overs to go. 112 for Agarwal. Shrubman Gill, 72. Vihari, a name I've not come across before, 56 not out off 57. And Huda is 23 off 19. So a decent enough score.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going to be posted there. So that's the first game. England got off to a winning start. Won by 7 wickets. So the second game involved England against the other touring side, which is West Indies A. 318 for 5 for England. Cadmore 67, Kola Cadmore 67 off 87, and Sam Hain 145 off 134, not out. 58 for Mullaney, Dawson 28 off 14. With the ball, if you remember over the winter, England Lions toured West Indies A and they got spun left, right and centre.
They got destroyed.
Warwick and Cornwall, absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely destroyed.
Could not play spin, but Warwick 1 for 46 of 10, 1 for 48 of Cornwall. So pretty good figures, but not too traumatic. A few knocks from West Indies, 231 all out, so meaning they lost by 87 runs. 40 for Blackwood, 52 for captain Jason Mohammed, 52, Rodman Powell, 55, and DC Drake. Any relation of Vaspert, we ask?
No.
28. With the ball, 3 for 54 for Reece Topley, 3 for 25 for Jordan, and 4 for 27 for Liam Dawson.
Dawson again.
Absolutely. Chris, first couple of games there, some good names in those sides. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Gubbins. Sam Hain is a player that we're all excited about, but you more than most.
Massively.
What do you reckon for those performances from England?
Well, it's good, isn't it? I mean, England have been solid with the bat. They seem to have bowled well. It's mirroring the one-day side in that, our top order seem to be scoring the majority of the runs. And Liam Dawson is doing what Moeen and Rashid have been doing. I wouldn't put too much judgment on India's first dig. A lot of those are obviously India A players, perhaps haven't played in England.
Yep.
First time out in English conditions. It's going to be difficult for them.
Yeah.
Looks like they've found their feet in this game that they're playing today. So yeah, it's good. I do like these A tri-series. I think it's great. It's a problem obviously for the counties trying to let players be released whilst this championship match is going on and everything else. But it is nice to see that we've got an awful lot of cricket going on at the moment.
Yeah, I agree completely. So that's the first two games. The third game was India against West Indies. So it was the two touring sides. West Indies batted first, 2-2-1 all out. India showing their dominance on this one and knocking the runs off with 3 down with 12 overs to go, give or take. 7 wicket win off 71 balls remaining. So West Indies A, none for Blackwood, 45 for Hemraj, who was a fellow opener, 64 for Devon Thomas, the wicket-keeper batsman, not out as well, and also just Jason Mohammed, the captain, 31. With the ball, Deepak Chahar, 5 for 27 off 10. Sensational figures.
Useful.
Absolutely. 44 dot balls. that's exceptional bowling from him. Shiv Thakur, 1 for 46. 1 for 48 for KK Ahmed. A.R. Patel, I think it's Axel Patel, number 26. 1 for 21, Vijay Shankar, and Krunal Pandya, 1 for 47. Some big names playing for India.
Definitely.
In response, they didn't really bother too much about this score. 27 of 16 for PP Shaw. Agarwal, 112 off 102. He's in form. Shubman Gill, 58 off 92. A steady knock got him over. And Rishabh Pant, a nice, easy 18 off 10 for the run machine. With the ball, 2 for 37 for DC Drakes and 1 for 48 for CK Holder for the Windies. So, India get up and running. England 2 wins, India 1. Sets it up for today's game. As we say, India A against England Lions. So we shall see how this develops. So, we've got, after today's game, there are another 2 games. So England Lions against West Indies on the 28th. And then 29th, India against West Indies, which sets up a final on the 2nd of July, just before we start focusing on India-England. And I'd imagine it's going to be an India against England final.
Looking at the tables, you'd presume so.
Absolutely. So it's good to see that up and running. It's good to see the guys getting an opportunity, and the likes of Gubbins and Hayne really starting to kind of really shout at the England selectors, especially after, I think a few of us, including me, would suggest that Gubbins was overlooked for the test side. So it is really good that he's starting to get some runs as well. So that puts a pin in that one, and let's just have maybe a little bit of a catch up on county cricket. Since the last time we got on this podcast, I feel like a couple of years have passed of cricket with the Royal London One Day Cup. I think it was just about to start, or it had just started when we were talking. So it's been an absolute bugger that we've missed so much cricket in this. We've been looking forward to this for such a long time. So it's a real shame for us that we've not been able to really dig into it. So we're not obviously going to dig into it now, but we are just going to just give you a bit of an overview of where everyone's at. And just, take it from there. So the Royal One Day Cup, and then we'll have a look at the county championship. So One Day Cup, mate. In the North Division, qualification was Worcester, Notts, Yorkshire and Warwick. And in the South, it was Hampshire, Essex, Kent and Somerset. Not a competition to remember if you're from Leicestershire, Durham, Sussex or Glamorgan, I'd suggest. Especially Glamorgan.
I think that's fair.
The worst size in there.
Must have rained a lot.
Exactly. So what that meant, the quarterfinals actually set it up. So we had a Notts-Kent quarterfinal, which was a bit of a heartbreaker for Notts. 255 for 8, and then Kent decided they were going to make very, very short work of it. 257 for 1 off 35.5 overs. 9-wicket win. Anything you want to add on that one?
Not on that one, though. No, you're the Notts man.
No, I might just add that I've been banging on about a certain opener for quite some time, and he actually got some runs. Daniel Bell Drummond, he's not had the best of years, but he got 79 against Notts, so it would be the time against Notts, wouldn't it? But Heino Kuhn, he's been one of the stars of the tournament. He got 124 off 114. The South Africa A. He was, I think he might have played a few games for South Africa full, but now he's a cold pack Englishman, whatever it is. I don't know.
Bona
fide Englishman, yeah. So anyway, so that was Kent moving forward. Second quarterfinal saw Yorkshire against Essex, and it was Yorkshire that clinched it by 25 run win, 259% for Yorkshire, 2-3-4. All out for Essex to move Yorkshire on. Moved on. So the way this was set up this year, that they had 2 quarterfinals and then it moved into the semis. So obviously Worcester, with the better record, and Hampshire, they got a passage straight through to the semis. No giggling. So Worcestershire 306 for 6 against hosting Kent in that semi-final, and Kent came out on top 307 for 8, won by 2 wickets with 2 balls remaining, an absolute nail-biting affair at New Road. A tough result for Worcester. They'd played really well in this tournament. The young fellas did well. I mean, Ollie Cox, the wicket keeper, 122 not out for him to get a score after a bit of a collapse at the top order. Callum Ferguson, the Aussie, he's had a great tour as well. Oh, tour, I shouldn't say tour. He's had a great time of it in England of late. But it was Heino Kuhn again, 127. Ridiculously.
One-man show.
It just a fantastic performance from him, wasn't it? So, credit where it's due. Kent got the way through. They're in the final. Who would they face? Hampshire, Yorkshire in the other semi. Hampshire, a mammoth 348 for 9 was plenty against Yorkshire. Yorkshire 241 all out. Hampshire win by 107 runs. And just convincing. James Vince, the England's forgotten man, 171 off 126 balls.
Don't know what to say, Rich.
Still not enough for a call-up for me.
No.
But I'm glad to see him scoring runs. He's a talented player, and we've always known that. He's a really, really good county cricketer, and that is a fantastic knock, a match-winning knock. In response, 89 for Johnny Tattershall, the wicket-keeper batsman as well. There are so many good batsman keepers these days. It's ridiculous. But he was just not enough. A lot of starts for Yorkshire, but nowhere near the big score they needed to get that win. So the final sets up to be played on the 30th of June. So this coming weekend is between Hampshire and Kent. Who you got in this one, Torley?
Kent.
If Heino Kuhn gets a score, if Daniel Bell-Drummond, Joe Denley, underrated performer, if they get scores, it's Kent, isn't it?
I just think Kent got stronger bowling attack, and I think that they'll hold them to task.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game anyway. Obviously, last year, Notts won it. We were there. Hales had a fantastic knock after Mark Stoneman had a fantastic knock. Let's see who's going to be the superstar for this one. But it's been a hell of a series so far. Heino Kuhn, obviously, and it doesn't surprise anyone that he's the top scorer. 664 runs in 10 innings at an average of just shy of 95.
Wow.
Bradman-esque figures.
Absolutely.
As someone you're very familiar with is the second highest run scorer, Varun Chopra, 528 runs.
Yeah. Absolutely useful batsman, top of the order, anchors the innings, consistent player.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul Sterling, 515 for Middlesex. Billy Godleman at Derbyshire, he just keeps churning runs out. James Vince, 504 for Hampshire. Joe Denley, 480. He had a brilliant winter. Kind of went under the radar in English cricket circles, but he had a really good stint in the PSL, Pakistan Super League, so it's great to see him taking the form in. Sam Hain, someone that's making a name for himself with England Lions at the moment, 426 runs in 6 innings, an average of 106.5. Sensational. Who was biffing it? Who was clearing the ropes? 17 sixes for Tom Kohler-Cadmore. I'm not saying that I'm anywhere near Tom Kohler-Cadmore, but my cricket bat is exact replica of Kohler-Cadmore's. We are B-free team. What else? Ollie Cox, 107 strike rate. Good stuff all round. What about with the ball, Torley? What have we got here? Matt Parkinson, the spinner from Lancashire, 18 wickets in 7 innings, an average of 18. Brilliant.
Fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, Rob's favourite bowler, Darren Stevens. He must be at least 70 now. He's took 16 wickets. Ed Barnard of Worcester, he's just got a call up to the England Lions as well, the all-rounder. He took 16 wickets. Matt Henry does not stop taking wickets. He's got 16 as well as his 70-odd that he feels like he's got in county cricket. Jake Ball, 14, so he's still in good form. And Adil Rashid, 14 wickets for Yorkshire as well. So, good stuff. Just one name I just want to mention here, Matt Carter. Young fella. He's only played 5 games, 5 innings. He's took 13 wickets at an average of 15. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. A young fella, young local lads. It's great to see him doing so well. So, anyone else you want to pick out of any of that?
Not particular. Just going to say again with Carter, he seems to have just sprung onto the scene. And he's certainly getting some very good returns, not just in this, but in the recent championship games. Definitely one to keep an eye on.
Absolutely, and I've got to say thank you very much for that beautifully professional segue. County Championship, where are we at the moment? Well, Division 1, let's start with Division 1. Surrey are the leaders at the moment. They've played 6, won 4, 108 points. Notts in second place after a brilliant result recently against last year's title winners Essex. They're in second place on 95 games, played 1 game more. Somerset in third, 87. Essex in fourth, 7 games played, 81. And then it's Yorkshire and Hampshire 5 and 6 on 62. Lancashire close behind on 60, and Worcester still struggling at the bottom on 45 points, although they are making a good fist of it after a tough start to the season for them. Let's have a quick look at the County Championship Division 2's table, and then we'll have a look at who's been performing. So somebody sat next to me is delighted with this. Who's top of the table?
The mighty Warwickshire, of course, Richie. Which neither you or Robert fancied, oddly enough, at the start of the year.
No, we need to review maybe our predictions soon, but it's still a long way to go.
Oh, I don't know.
It's still a long way to go, that's all I'll say. Warwickshire, 100 points. First team to get to 100 off 6 games. Kent in second place, just 8 points behind on 92 off 6. Let's say everybody's played 6 in Division 2, make that easier. Sussex, 78 points. Leicestershire, 70, having a brilliant season.
That's unexpected in many ways, I'd say.
Bit, yeah, they've had a really good recruitment policy with some of the guys they've brought in, so I'm impressed that they've done so well. Middlesex, 64, hotly tipped. And Derbyshire as well, 61. Not trying to be funny, but Leicestershire and Derbyshire over the last few years, local rivals, they tend to have been 9 and 10.
Whipping boys.
Yeah, so it's really good to see those guys doing so well. Durham, nice to see them. Lost a lot of players, had a lot of problems. They're in 7th on 59, then it's Gloucestershire and Glamorgan on 47, and Northamptonshire on 40. Bit of a surprise there. So, who's been doing what? We can't go through the results, otherwise we would be here for a fortnight. But Division 1, the big names, the top run scorers, Rory Burns of Surrey, James Vince of Hampshire, and is it Ollie Pope?
It is Ollie Pope.
Of Surrey.
Yeah, good players.
Yeah.
Vince seems to be just churning out runs, and, it's still the mystery, isn't it, of how we can do it at one level, but at another level it's not quite right.
Yeah, talent coming out of his ears, but he's just not got what it needs at the international level, in my opinion. Pope, he scored a big, I think he got his 158 not out recently, so he's a man in form. Keaton Jennings as well, he's had 3 centuries so far this year, 565 runs. He's certainly a man in form, and he did okay in his last test, but I'm really, really interested to see how he goes when the Indian Test Series comes around, because personally, feel free to absolutely slate me for it, but personally I'm just not convinced that Jennings is a long-term answer at the top of the order, but we shall see, and I'm sure I'll be proven wrong. Aussie Matt Renshaw for Surrey, 513 runs for him. He's playing pretty well, and fellow overseas player Ross Taylor at Notts, 505 runs. Thank God we have had Ross Taylor this year. The Notts batting lineup hasn't been as consistent as we would like, although in the current day-night day-night county championship game almost had at Trent Bridge, we are actually scoring some runs at long last, so it's nice to see.
It's been overdue.
James Hildreth, criminally overlooked.
The forgotten man of English cricket.
Yeah, 497 runs for him, and Darryl Mitchell, 494, keeps churning them out. Hashan Amla as well, he only had 9 innings, 492. So plenty of good players. Tom Moores at Nottinghamshire, Peter Moores' son, wicketkeeper batsman, 434 runs for him. He scored his first century recently, 103 score. 12 sixes took my eye as I was looking at that in county championship.
He does like to give it a whack, doesn't he?
That's not bad, is it?
And he does play at Trent Bridge, it's tiny.
Get on. So, Alistair Cook, just an eye on England. Alistair Cook, 409 runs at an average of 40. It's nice to see him doing well.
Still no 100 though, Rich. Still no 100.
The Indians will be wondering about how, whether or not he's still the same man. I'm sure he'll score a hatful. With the ball, I was about to say no surprise, but I suppose it's a little bit. But Graham Onions, 31 wickets so far.
Yeah, I had to do a double take. I thought, what's he doing playing for Durham And then suddenly realised he'd gone to Lancashire.
What year is this?
I was having a moment there.
Tom Bailey of Lancashire, 30, close behind him. Fidel Edwards, who's been really, really impressive this year on 30. Jake Ball, 27 wickets. Ed Barnard of Worcester, 27. Simon Harmer, the Essex winner, 27. Ricky Clark. Again, what year is this?
Evergreen.
26. Jamie Porter, 26 as well, the Essex man, who's in the conversation for England. Luke Fletcher, big Luke Fletcher, we love him over at Notts, 25 wickets. Brilliant time for him. And Ben Code, an up-and-comer, 24 wickets for Yorkshire. Harry Gurney at Notts, 24 wickets. Joe Menny, the Aussie,
Seamers,
24.
mate. Seamers everywhere.
Lot of them.
Where's the spinners?
Is it Harmer? Is he the only one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, really impressive. Leach of Worcestershire, the seamer as well. Amal Verdi's dropped off a little bit, 22 wickets now, but it's still at average 24, so he's still playing pretty well. Plenty of impressive performances with the ball in Division 1. So let's pop across to Division 2. We said Warwickshire leading the way, obviously with Kent coming close second. Again, I'm going to ask the same question. What year is this?
I don't know. There's been a bit of a time shift.
Graham Onions leading wicket taker in Division 1.
Yeah.
And now we have Ian Bell leading wicket taker in Division 2.
Well, I think we're halfway through the year and he scored more runs than he did last year. He's been phenomenal, Rich, this season. He's in the last 5 innings for Warwickshire, I think he scored 300s.
Yeah, absolutely. 300s on the year, 653 runs at an average of 72.5. Brilliant.
It's just pleasing because he had a terrible year last year and you were thinking, if he goes again like that this season, that's probably it.
Yeah.
Washed up, gone, no way back. But he's been exceptional. He's one of the reasons why Warwickshire are top of the table. Him, Ambrose and Trott, the 3 senior men, have batted consistently well throughout the year. It's it's obvious that batting unit is very, very strong.
Absolutely, yeah. Jonathan Trott, 447 runs and 418 for Ambrose. So there must be people bowling a lot of short and wide deliveries if Ambrose has scored 418 this year. One shot, Billy. I apologise. I joke. Colin Ackerman of Leicestershire, I think that's probably one reason they're doing quite well. 627 runs at an average of 78. And then Derbyshire, Wayne Madsen and... Slater, I forgot your first name, I do apologise. But Madsen, 576 runs, and Ben Slater, the 26-year-old batsman, he's got himself 552 as well. Joe Denley, again, he's having an exceptional season in my opinion, 451 runs. Dexter of Leicestershire as well, 422. And then let's have a look around the counties. Sussex, Michael Burgess, 404. Ben Brown of Sussex as well, 398. James Bracey, Gloucester, 379. No one else really jumping off the page there as we go through that, but some interesting performances. Just caught my eye there. Dawid Malan in 7 innings, 303 runs at an average of 50, so he's doing okay. He's getting himself ready for the upcoming test matches. Bell Drummond, the guy that I wanted to see do well this year, he's just got the 269 at an average of just shy of 25. Needs to do better.
6 out of 10 see me.
Yeah, exactly. So there's no surprise who's the leading wicket taker in English cricket and in Division 2, obviously. 49 wickets for Kiwi seaman Matt Henry. What a signing for Kent.
It's phenomenal. I mean, what can you say? He's played a match less than everyone else. He's streets ahead. And he's the reason Kent are where they are. I mean, they're doing superbly well. Really pushing Warwickshire. In fact, they inflicted the first defeat on Warwickshire just recently. And, you know, I mean, Henry's just bowling so well in English conditions.
Yeah, exactly. When Rob talks about Matt Henry, suddenly he's a New Zealander.
Yeah.
That's how much love he's got for Matt Henry.
He's gone all Kiwi on us.
Exactly. Ben Rayner, Leicestershire, 31 wickets at an average of just around 22. It's really impressive. James Harris, he hit the ground flying start this year. Still going pretty well. 30 wickets at just under 20. Dwayne Olivier, the South African Derbyshire overseas player, 27 at 28. David Weiser, Sussex, 26 at 19 and a bit. And Gavin Griffiths at Leicestershire as well. So Leicestershire really have got some performers this year going pretty well. Tim Murtagh as well, Irishman Murtagh, 25 wickets for Middlesex. Looking down the order, Michael Hogan still doing it, 24. Tim van der Gugten at Glamorgan. They're going to be hoping that those guys can keep those performances up and obviously the batsmen catch up with them. Because that's what they need at the moment. Anybody else there taking your eyes? Brooks at Warwickshire?
Brooks. Young lad, came in because of the load of injuries. Performed remarkably well in his first game. We haven't been able to drop him since. Definitely one to look out for.
Yeah, 21 wickets at an average of 22.38 so far. Is it Harry Brooks? Henry Brooks, so he's bowling pretty well. He's the 14th leading taker at the moment. So plenty of good performances around county cricket at the moment. What sort of, apart from Ian Bell, who's the man that's taken your eye so far this season?
Ian Bell, well, it's got to be Matt Henry.
Yeah.
49 wickets now. I mean, he's on for 100 wickets.
That's outrageous, isn't it? That's
it's disgusting. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's just exceptional.
Yeah, brilliant. Love it. Anything else you want to, I think that's kind of got us up to date to a point. Now, just before I say that, actually, I know that there is a test series going on between West Indies and Sri Lanka. We're not going to cover that today. We're going to wait until the third test has finished, and then we're going to try and do a bit of a summary on that one. There's some interesting talking points coming from that series, as there always is when it seems to involve Sri Lanka. We love the Sri Lankans. I've been a couple of times, but they always know how to keep it interesting, don't they? So we will go on to that at some point. But I think that's nearly got us up to date, Chris. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, it's just been a pleasure to be here, Rich.
Yeah, no, I mean, massively appreciate it. I'm sure you guys as well, people that have been waiting for a podcast, appreciate that Chris hopping on with me today. The sun's shining and we're sat inside, not taking advantage of this heat wave. But no, mega kind of appreciate you getting on, mate. Really, really thank you for that. If there's any other bits you want to just quickly mention, but if not, we're all good to wrap it up.
I'm about done. I'm just going to be interested to see how these first day-night championship matches sort of pan out.
Yeah, no, that's a damn good point, actually. It's
the first time it's happened, and the scores overnight looked okay, although there was one where a team batting second did seem to lose quite a rush of wickets, and it was in the second division, I think.
Yeah.
But everywhere else it seemed relatively okay. It was just going to be interesting to see does it work?
Exactly, yeah, and does it put bums on seats? That's the other thing, isn't
Yeah.
it? You know, are the punters going to be going down? It's probably aiming for a slightly different market, isn't it? It's not quite the
Well, I think it needs to a certain extent.
Yeah.
It's just, is it a gimmick? Is it a stretch too far for Championship cricket, or is it well received and going to be part of the game going forwards?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think time will tell on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that gets us where we need to be, I reckon, today. So thank you everybody for downloading, tuning in. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you share, make sure you tell people that we're alive still and that we're still going. As Rob settles down with his little one, hopefully he'll be able to jump back on soon. But I'm sure we'll be able to get Chris back on as and when needed.
More than happy to.
So for now, from us, we'll say see you later.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you.